little lower level, it's all about training. There is not a single employee can be left out without a training on. So in fact, in our organization, which is the Sundaram Finance Group, all the training programs, all the interventions, which is 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, had an important component on emotional intelligence for leaders, emotional intelligence for employees. So without which it's really, really difficult. And nowadays, unlike before, the recruitments, people come from across industries to a particular industry. So first culturalization, right? How do you induct? We have a very strong induction program of 5 days. So we teach all these things there also, apart from the domain. So I would say both are important, but EQ is more important. Otherwise it'll be like I go to a gymnasium and pick up only the IQ dumbbell. And this side is puny, this side is rippling muscles. So we need to have both. And IQ is a given, there is no question about it. But as they say, IQ gets you a job, EQ helps you to retain it and grow in that.
Great and fantastic. Now, I have this question. Do you see the sort of transition from autocratic leader to empathetic leader over a period of time?
Oh yes. Yeah. And that was no credit to the autocratic leader. The system below. In short, I'm congratulations to all the youngsters here for pushing the system to see that you are well heard. Gone are the days when my father called my name, I immediately dropped everything and I ran. Today, if I call my son, isn't it? That's a generation. And these generations come into the organizations. So, the system has kind of put pressure that the leaders understand what is empathy.
Fantastic. Great. Thanks, Narsi, for that insight. Now, coming to Som, which of these 5 EQ elements, are most critical in grooming your future tech leaders, and why?
I know Narasimhan said about self-regulation, but what I was thinking was self-awareness is what I was more leaning towards. That is what has helped me first. When we started Doensis, I came from a very strong tech background, used to work for GE and Oracle in the past, more as a hardcore technology guy. When we started this, and when we were trying to build the team, the expectation was you always expected things to happen at the level of GE, which is very, very difficult when you are very small and at that size and scale. When it doesn't happen, you get so upset and that leads towards arrogance. You start shouting at people and, the expectations are not met and things like that. But I thought it was right on my part because I've invested money, I'm putting my time, I'm building an organization, so this is needed. But then when we used coaches, I think they helped us to look at the mirror and made you feel how you look and what happens. Right? So that self-awareness helped us understand, this is important, but there are different ways in which this can get conveyed. So then the regulation comes in. But unless we know that this is wrong, it's very difficult to regulate. So from that point, I think self-awareness is what I would... and similar thing when we talk about the new gen, we always talk from our point of view. We don't understand it from their point of view. So again, though this is more about empathy, but again, making them understand and making them self-aware will help in trying to get to a solution. Otherwise, it's always a discussion and a fight between each in terms of what we expect and what they expect. So I would lean more towards self-awareness.
Thank you, Somu. So self-awareness is the starting point for you to grow. Okay, coming back to nursing. At Sundaram Finance and now at Interim, how have you approached the development of emotional intelligence as a capability, especially in the mid and senior level leaders?
Yes. So, in one of the TVS family, There's a high spiritual quotient existing in the culture. Undeniable. Just like if you enter this hall, nobody needs to tell you this is an air-conditioned hall. So the culture is so strong. But then why training for emotional intelligence in such a culture? We have to, because to bring that culture at one level, they all understand. When the organization grows, you are bringing people from across spectrum and multi-generational workforce. From different companies they are coming, different backgrounds they are coming. At an operational level, how that particular service gets, transferred to the end customer is very critical for us. For example, if you go to Sangeeta, every Sangeeta around the world will have a flavor. We are known for what is called as Sundaram experience, which is very distinct. Whether you go to a branch in Adyar or, Villivakkam or Patinda in Punjab, you will get the same service. Now, that is well known. Therefore, it comes with a double responsibility of having to maintain that. And at the heart of service is empathy. And our values, two values, of course, apart from service, is fair play and relationship, which is practiced both inside and outside. Now, all these to sustain for now and the future generations, we started a program called Sundaram Seva. Bedrock is empathy, because customer pays our salaries. It's not the managing director. Our managing director will openly say in all the programs, I don't pay your salary, your customer pays the salary. If you want to do chamchagiri, go and do it for him. Right? Now we have to teach empathy. Is it possible to teach empathy? Like Somu said, it has to be caught, not taught. So leaders, mid-senior, has to conduct themselves in a particular way. The people who are joining the organization will catch it. However, now here is the Sundaram experience legacy to be perpetuated, taught to every single employee, including the associates who are not part of the employee. That is because they are also impacting the brand. So we came up with what is called as Sundaram Seva, which was conducted to all the 10,000 to 12,000 employees and associates. Heart of it is empathy. And we also brought nonviolent communication as one of the elements there, Dr. Marshall Rosenberg's, which talks about we are all, at the end of the day, if you strip off all the titles, we are all a bundle of needs and feelings. When my need is met, I am happy. When my need is not met, I am totally violent, either inside or demonstrated. So to answer your question, mid-level, senior level, training on emotional intelligence, senior level, EQI coaching, very strong coaching like Somu took. We also believe in coaching. We empanel with CFI only. So they brought very strong coaches for senior leadership. And as I earlier was mentioning, no program is without EI in some way or the other. Another one is that people will be sitting in head office. They'll be serving the branches, which is 500, even close to Pakistan border, we have a branch. You can hear gunshots in the branch. If those people have to serve well, the relationship between head office people and the branch office people has to be smooth. So there was a feedback that there are certain not so smooth interactions in the fit of, 31st March, a lot of files have to be moved, last quarter, so pressure builds up. So when that feedback came, we designed a program called Winning Through People. Again, emotional intelligence was, but then we cannot invite mid-level leaders and say, you please sit down in a program because you are all very angry and violent. We cannot say that. So we made it as an intervention of 6 days. Each month, 2 days they come, learn a skill and go. In that, emotional intelligence became, again, a very, very important competency so that they respond and not react to the people at the branches through the regional offices. And their interactions and relationships went super high. So that's a program which keep on happening. Sundaram Seva for all the 10,000 employees keep on happening. We developed 150 gurus because I only cannot go for 10,000 employees. So we train them in order to train the rest of. So each guru has to go and impact 100 employees. That is how that was achieved. So these two out of many I can quote that where it really was institutionalized.
Wonderful. I think that's a very structured way of implementing AI, and it shows in the service.
Yes, it shows in the service.
Eventually. Fantastic. Thank you, Narsi, for that. Now we talked about pressures, and so much for you. Tech teams often face pressure to deliver with precision and speed. You're in project environment. How do you build emotional resilience and balance between emotional control and assertiveness?
Mechanical failure, and so many lives have to be saved, and how the air traffic controllers are trained and how they self-regulate, all that. Similar to that for us, in the work that we do, one of the area, like at least in the software development side of things, it's slightly easier because you develop it, there is a phase through which it gets tested. So before something goes really wrong, you'll get to know and fix it. But once it goes live, when it's in the production system and people are really using it, and there is a problem, you need to solve it as soon as possible. And like you said, the month ends. All financial systems, the period close, the month close needs to happen. Numbers have to get reported. So those last few days in the month are highly challenging. Now, so we also do a lot of training around, when you, like what Narasimhan said, if you call people and say you're angry, so we're going to train you so that you'll become better, nobody is going to do that. But you'll have to package it in a different form, so that they don't realize that this training is really for they having to change their anger and manage it. So we do such programs. We also help in terms of understanding their characteristics. We do this MBTI assessments. Initially, when you do the assessments and let them know, they will resist and say, this is not me. I am not like this. I'm actually a good person. This is showing different things and stuff like that. But then you'll have to relate that with some real incidents and make them understand. But end of the day, culture matters a lot. So we keep stressing about customer delight. We live for customer delight. Any meetings that I attend will not come to an end without talking about customer delight. So when people understand that, what's the objective, what's the common goal they're working towards, and when they're aware about what their strengths are, what their opportunities to improve are, then I think they open up and they are willing to change. And it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And there are certain things that will not change. People after some age will not change in some behaviors. As leaders, we will have to enable their strength rather than trying to show their weakness. So those are things that we have done to enable and make this better. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
You can see a lot of emotional intelligence in deciding how the program has to be titled, how to be positioned, all those things.
Yeah. So, Narsi, one final question before we move on to the audience. What advice would you offer to L&D professionals or founders like Somu who wish to embed EQ as a cultural pillar rather than a training checklist?
Thank you. Great question. First of all, do not wait for a single second. Because all studies show 66% of the career 66% of the career derailment, the root cause is in lack of emotional intelligence. At the same time, 90% of high performers are found to be high on emotional intelligence. Okay? And business leaders who are high on EI turn out 20% more business results. And for employees, if you're high on emotional intelligence, you start up earning more than people who are lower on emotional intelligence. Now this is a business case. Do not wait. Just study the organization well, and like he said, position the programs very aptly because there are transgenerational workforce. There is supposed to be a study which says along with age we become more emotionally intelligent, but that's not the norm. We all know that. So we need to be careful in how do you give training programs for what category of people and how do you position that. One, not advice, suggestion would be start off early. Everybody needs emotional intelligence training because everybody has emotion. Thank you.
Thank you, Narsi, for that. So we are open to, thanks Somu and Narsi for the insights. Now we are on to audience question, and the first question is addressed to me. As someone certified in NLP and people development, how do you integrate emotional intelligence into your training methodologies at Samarthya? From Arjun, Chennai. Of course, I always do EI during my training. Training is no longer training. So whenever I go to my training program, I won't say, I'm here to train you. I will say, you're here to learn. Or we are here to learn. Okay, that completely shifts the focus from me to the other person, which is basically emotional intelligence. You need to have a connect with your audience for you to transfer your knowledge properly. So that's how during the training process itself, the interactions primarily keeps learning in mind rather than training. You know, when audience or the students are open to learning, and I care more about that than what I'm going to share as knowledge, I think emotional intelligence is automatically built in that. And that's how we integrate in Samarthya. And all my programs have been very practical and applicable, and people who attend the programs, they feel completely connected during the program and go off with the key takeaways. So that's my answer to Arjun. Thanks for that question. Wonderful question. Now, next question is to Mr. Somu Chokkalingam. You have built Doyences into a great place to work. How have emotional intelligence principles contributed to creating that workplace culture? Paisa from CCT.
Yeah. Definitely it has helped a lot. Self-awareness, like I said, is the first thing for us to understand how we are, what are the expectations of others, and about the empathy that I was talking about, how we do this behavioral award, helping hands award, all of this helped in building empathy with people. Using coaches really helped. I will support what Narasimhan said. Trying to do this alone is very, very difficult. All of us know getting up early in the morning and doing workout helps and is good for health. But how many of us will do it? We will not. Most of us don't do it. But when you have a coach, I don't think they will tell you exactly what to do, but they will reflect you and say, this is where you are. If you're happy with this, live with it. But if you want to change, then these are things that are suggested, and they'll help you understand how to do this. So using a coach definitely helped. First we had Dr. Somu Valliyappan. Now we have a person by name Kumar, who is an excellent coach for us. So using a coach really helped. So I would suggest that's a big thing.
Thank you for that. We'll move on to the next question. Any more questions? Babu, you can ask.
My question is to Narsi. Emotional intelligence is so important for the world as a mission. We see the top man in USA today who appears to completely lack this. Right? How would you explain the top man for the job not possessing an important element of emotional intelligence?
How to tell him?
No. How do you explain that scenario?
No explanation, it's a disaster. I got a WhatsApp message, I don't know if it's true or not, his mother saying, and it says moms will never be wrong. Apparently the mom said when he was some 5 years old, I hope he doesn't make a politician, he'll be a disaster. Right? I mean, these are the examples as to why lack of emotional intelligence is going to cause disaster. Disaster. Yeah. And it was Swami Sudananda who said, it's not that a president is emotionally unintelligent. It's an emotionally unintelligent person became a president. There's no corrupt policeman. A corrupt man became a policeman. And then therefore, so much to the case of why we chose this subject today. Thank you, Ram. And I hope somebody coaches the gentleman that he's talking about.
I think that will be the biggest success in the world history, right? Okay. So next question, observed in developed countries like USA, people handle even stressful situations calmly, while several Indians, particularly South Indians, react aggressively. Can you ascribe any reason for the same? Is it really true?
Yeah, I think I can take this question if you don't mind. I'm very passionate about the same question because I've been mulling around it for ages. If you look at it, if there is a death in the family and if you see a Westerner crying, there'll be one half tear coming out and they'll take a tissue paper and very nicely put it back. That's all but here you know what happens, right? So we are all very emotional people. See, our culture is relationship oriented, right? And when there is relationship, there's a lot of expectations and a lot of emotion involved in that. So I wouldn't say we should not be proud about it. We should be proud about it. If you look at the flip side of it, much less diverse percentage-wise in India, and more family bonding, more in our culture, and therefore we are able to bring out emotionally intelligent children. You go back to the age-old practice of Seemandam. You know, I was invited to Scotland in the Caledonian University to speak some through 3 subjects. One was emotional intelligence. And they were all students who were professional counselors. So I told them, I put a slide as to, it's not just from fun and relaxation, pregnant mother goes to the mother's home. It is for the benefit of the fetus. So if the pregnant mother is calm, quiet, composed, relaxed, it will give that to the progeny. The child also will be. So we don't have to be worried that we are extremely emotional. There are so many positives in Indian ethos. Number one. Number two, Sage Nadamani says, the only sword which cuts the mental agitation is pranayama. Is not breathing. Pranayama. Prana is life force, not breathing. Right? So there are so many good things. I am a big beneficiary of yoga. And I did a study of 120 corporate executives. 60 of them not exposed to any yogic practices. And 60 of them exposed to a particular yogic practices. You will be astounded, you know, which competency out of the 4 dimensions was the highest, emotional intelligence was the highest.
Wonderful, wonderful. In fact, when I was talking to Somo, I was saying my grandmother, who used to manage multiple people, we were about 15, 20 of us, and she used to know exactly who wants what and complete management. So we had a lot of emotional intelligence prior to computerization and other things. Yeah. All those things sort of diluted. So let's move on to the next question. I think probably last 2 questions. How do you ensure your mood or personal stress doesn't affect your interactions with the team? I think it will be more appropriate for...
I'll take it. I know it's come from Karikvel, who used to be in our office before and he works somewhere else now. I've gone through this personally, ups and downs in it. When I first took a people management job with GE, I used to work in the US for some time, came back, was part of Genpact, which is now Genpact, which used to be called JECUS. First time people manager was very, very difficult because you expect everybody to be like you. When you hire, I used to go and challenge people saying, you don't know things like what I know. So I would never hire anybody. So my manager then came and told me, this is not how you do hiring. You should find out what are good skills that he has. Does it match for my requirement or not? And then hire. You're not here to show that you are better than him. So like this, when you are when your mood is not good, the first thing is, if you're aware about it, I think half the problem is won. Many times you're not aware and you just go full steam on it. Your team also needs to help you in doing it. If they're able to, if the culture is very open, if they're able to tell that you need to settle down, things are not good, then I think you will also realize about it. Next, drive it more based on facts and data or the result that you want to achieve than the incident that has happened. You don't want to prove what has happened is wrong, but what you want is, what do you expect from him to move forward? Talk about that, right? I think that will solve the problem. To do this, you will first have to realize that you are in a bad mood. Only then all these controls will come in. Many times, like what he said, the amygdala takes over. So you're just reacting, you're not responding. So you'll have to first understand, self-aware, pause, like what Dhoni did, give time. I think instead of answering it immediately, delay that decision. Might be take a break, calm down. Another technique that has helped for me is whenever I'm on phone and I'm upset, I'm really bad. But if that person is, if you're in person with him and you talk, then you're better. Right? So it can be different for different people. But if you understand that, now if you're very upset and that discussion is not going well on phone, say let's meet in person and then talk later. So then it'll cool down. So I think those are some techniques that has worked for me.
Wonderful. So delay your response, pause, self-regulate and empathize. I think problem is solved. So we come to the last question of the evening. What strategies would you recommend to young professionals to develop their emotional intelligence alongside their technical or domain skills? From Gautam, SRM, IST.
You see, young professionals are already emotionally intelligent. There's no problem there. Maybe way you look at it. For example, we have a cricket ground in our compound. And I go there and sometimes I don't play those days, So the children automatically say, please sit down. Where does it come from? Culture. So the straight answer, please read the book. Brilliant book. Right? To get trained, get coached, follow your elders. Family is the ultimate training ground or the learning ground. The word educate is not to stuff in. The original answer, definition of educate is to draw out. So follow your elders. Most of this learning can happen in the family itself. Like he said, large families. Observe. And, you need to understand how to sense the room before opening the mouth. Right? There aren't any strategies to this gentleman, whoever asked. It comes from life. At an individual level, yoga I'm not advocating, but if it is possible, it will help you a lot. Because at the foundation of all, breath and emotions are interconnected. That's why humans, we breathe faster. We live for 70 years. Elephant live for 70 years. The one animal which breathes the slowest is the turtle, sea turtle, 280 years. I've seen the report in the Hindu paper. You don't have to be a turtle, but what I'm saying is that learn pranayama. My submission.
Okay. Thank you, Narsi. Thank you, Somu, for your valuable insights. You have a question?
Can I first answer and then Somu as an entrepreneur? There is a model called Radical Candor Model by Kim Scott. Right? As a one axis, it is about care and concern. The another axis is about the challenge. So low challenge, low empathy means manipulative insecurity. Right? So we are not directly dealing. If the leader or the entrepreneur is high on empathy and low on challenging, you know the task doesn't get done at all. On the contrary, if it is high on challenge and low on empathy, unpleasant aggression. So what's the key? The key, what Kim Scott says, you be on the space of right hand side of the 2x2 matrix, high care and concern, high on challenge. Radical candor. Radical, C-A-N-D-O-R. Brilliant book, and that is a training, you will learn a lot to be on that. Yeah, so, yeah.
Feedback is one important thing that will work, right? Many times we think the guy is very good. If I give feedback, he'll get hurt. So let's sugarcoat it. That's a big problem. But it also depends on how you want to convey that feedback. But important thing is make him realize it's impacting him and the organization. I think then it will work.
Yeah, instead of feedback is to develop rather than criticize. I think that will solve.
One come from space is important, sir. The intention is the currency of the world. Why am I giving feedback, like he was alluding to? Is to harm him or to develop him? So the intention with which we start any conversation, that's how it will do. So you set the intention in the morning, that's how your day will be. My belief. Thank you.
Great, sir.